Uh, Monday night reading is an idea I had a number of years ago, and it's rooted in the fact that so many fiction authors routinely get readings. It's not that nonfiction authors don't get readings, but it's actually pretty rare that thought leadership books, books that are prescriptive nonfiction, books that help people learn how to do something or change something or get better at something or fix something usually don't get readings. And I thought, well, that's silly. I think we should give those people readings. And it's called Monday Night Reading because years and years ago I was a playwright, and at the Playwright Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, there used to be something called Monday Night Readings. And that those were about plays, but it was a little homage to my how I got started. I'm proud to say that Monday night readings are now a tradition in our community and a milestone, a real celebration. They've also caught on, other people taking on doing live readings, and I'm happy for being the source of inspiration for that. So, if you'd like to join us, we do Monday night readings throughout the year. We're usually on hiatus over the summer. A good way for you to stay in touch about that is to go to ajharper.com and join the mailing list. You can also, if you want, connect with me on LinkedIn, and then I'm always posting. All I do on LinkedIn pretty much is post about the authors I love and work with and celebrate them. So we'd love for you to stay connected. It's a free event. And all the recordings are also up on my YouTube channel, and maybe someone from my team, there it is, can put up the YouTube channel as well. Sade Amherd is here, and she is part of our team, and Laura Stone is also here, and she is part of our team. And to introduce our honored guest, I'm kicking it over to Laura.
I would love to. First off, Simone, I just want to say that I forgive you for being an Okie. And as a Texan, you know how big that is. And I've realized that the Red River Shootout was the friendship that we forged along the way. So, Simone, about 17-ish years ago, Simone had it. She'd had it with burnout and business as usual in law firms. And she knew that there had to be a way that didn't force lawyers to sell their soul in order to run a successful practice. So that journey led her to her own practice and to the setup, a new model for running a law firm with more focus, more heart, and a lot less noise. Since starting her practice and model, her firm's revenues have grown by a factor of 13. And Fulmer Sill, a nationally recognized law firm that specializes in personal injury, bad faith, and mass torts, has become proof that you can practice the law that you love, have a thriving business, and not run yourself ragged in the process. Simone and her husband Mark and their assortment of beloved pups live in Oklahoma City and have recently welcomed a grandchild. And I'll leave ways that you can stay connected with Simone in the chat. AJ?
Thank you, Laura. We always love Laura's rendition of a bio. It's a great honor. Simone, welcome. Here you are.
You. Here I am. Crazy, crazy. I remember the first one of these I went to. It was Casey's, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Carolina. Yeah, long time ago.
Yeah, and here you are. Yeah, it's your
Here
turn.
I am. Amazing.
So I always kick it off with fundamentals. For whom did
Okay.
you write this book, Simone?
I wrote this book for law firm owners and leaders who have tried all the things and still don't have the successful firm that they are longing for. And they just haven't realized that they are only solving the visible problems instead of the foundational ones underneath.
Nice. And what's your core message for them? Something that will change their minds and make all the difference.
Focus on the foundation, and everything else will follow.
Nice. Okay. And finally, what we write toward, what is your promise to readers?
By the end of the book, they'll have a strategy to transform their firm from a chaotic, reactive, soul-crushing, cash-strapped operation into a structured and proactive, meaningful, and profitable success.
I've got to ask you, Simone, what do people say to you? You're a reader. What do your readers say to you when they hear that promise?
Um, Usually it goes back to I've tried everything and nothing works. This is just the way it has to be. The chaos is just the way it is.
But do they feel excited about that promise, is what I'm getting at? I
Oh,
mean, do they want
oh,
that? Yeah, do
oh,
they?
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
good. Okay. So your book's been out for how long?
Since February 22nd,
And you worked your tush off for this book.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. That's smart. Yeah, I did.
Who
And all my
here
friends here. Yeah.
who here has a copy of the setup? Mine's at home. I'm traveling. Pulled it up. Let's see it.
Yay.
Good. Thank you. We appreciate that. Oh, what did you just hold up with that, Trevor? Was that a pom-pom?
Oh,
Nice. Okay. Respect. I love it. Um, we would like to encourage you.
boomer
Oh, Laura's
sooner.
got a pom-pom too.
All
She's got
right.
a T3 color pom-pom. All right, listen. Here's the thing. We're going to be throughout the evening. Laura will be putting in the chat where you can stay in touch with Simone, but also get your hands on a copy of the setup. And one of the things that you can do for authors is to buy their books, really simply. You can buy from wherever you want. We would love if it fits your budget if you'd pick up a copy of the setup. If you do that tonight, and a bunch of us do it, it actually is really helpful because it gives her a little bit of bump and the little robots inside Amazon say, "What's going on with this book?" So let's do that for Simone if it fits your budget. If you already have a copy, maybe you know someone who might need it, you could gift it to them. I think even if it's not your jam, even if you're not the ideal reader, the book is a tremendous example of excellence in writing. Simone is like a lot of attorneys I've known, actually, I think a closet novelist. I really think so. She's a tremendous storyteller, and I think the advice actually is very sound for anybody that's in business. So I don't think you have to be an attorney. And then if you're here because you're a writer, studying this wonderful must-read book is also a reason to purchase it. So we would love to hear from you. Okay, thank you, David. We want to thank you in the chat and make you aware of that. So please let us know in the chat if you picked up a copy. All right, and the last thing I want to say before I'm going to have Simone introduce her excerpt is the way we like to do things around here is provide positive feedback for authors as they're reading in the chat. And you'll see some examples from our regulars who will show you the way. If you're new here, we hope you'll participate. We want you to put in the chat something that resonates with you, lines you love, and then our authors get this chat later, and it's really special when they get to see that, what is really resonating with people. And on that note, I send it over to you, Simone.
All right. I'm going to read three excerpts today. And of the three, I've kind of grouped some things together to kind of help shape the arc of the story, the arc of how I started out, how I found the solution. And then I'm going to end my final excerpt, the third one, is a tribute to my sweet friends. AJ and Laura at Charday, and all my friends at Madeline Island. So I will start with
Okay,
a
but
note
wait,
from the author. Go ahead.
wait a minute, Simone. We're going to break in between the excerpts though, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure we're still on the same
Yes.
page. All right, go for it.
So I'm setting up the issue, but first I just have a note from the author. I have this friend, Jeff. He's a golfer extraordinaire. I'm more of a cart driver myself, club special in hand, enjoying the gorgeous view. But Jeff's the real deal, zen, focused, always trying to get better. And for the longest time, Jeff had a little glitch in his swing with a big impact on his game. It was a sharp and stubborn slice, always curving hard to the right. He tried everything: fancy coaches, magic clubs, secret YouTube gurus. He read articles, did the drills, bought the things. Still, nothing worked. The ball just kept veering off like it had better plans for the weekend. Then one day, he's at this public course where the grass is more of a suggestion than a surface, and his buddy says, "Hey, that guy over there, that's Cal. He's a legend." Cal had coached high school golf and now mostly stood around watching in that quiet, wise way people get when they've been paying attention for a long time. So Jeff walks over, takes a few swings, and asks if Cal has any advice. Cal nods once and says very calmly, Put your elbow in your pocket. That's it. That's the whole lesson. And because life is weird and grace sometimes shows up in strange clothing, Jeff tries it. And boom, the slice is gone. Straight shot again and again. Later, Jeff told me, it's not like I hadn't heard that kind of advice before. It just landed, something about the way he said it. I've thought about that moment a lot, how the right words said at the right time can change everything. That's what this book hopes to be for you, an elbow in your pocket, a new way to see your firm, and just maybe a new way to see yourself within it. Some of what you'll read may sound familiar, but this time it might finally connect. Other parts might challenge long-held beliefs about how a law firm has to run. That's intentional, because when you've been too busy for too long, it's easy to stop questioning what no longer makes sense. So take a breath, look around. This is your invitation to reimagine what's possible for your firm and for you. Also, please hydrate and stretch and take a nap if you need one. That's not in the book, but it's still good advice. Welcome, truly. I'm so glad you're here. It happened 16 years ago on a drive from Oklahoma City to Texarkana, Arkansas. I was on one of those lonely Texas highways, long, straight, and impossibly empty. The road seemed to stretch on forever, and as I drove to yet another hearing, the weight on my chest grew heavier with each passing mile. I'd been practicing law for 14 years, the last 4 consumed by a single colossal battle. We were taking on the giants of the insurance industry, challenging their use of software to undervalue personal injury claims. The fight was demanding, relentless, and by every outward measure, incredibly successful. We had secured nearly $1 billion in settlements, the kind of money that makes headlines and builds careers. Yet as I stared down that endless highway, something inside me was breaking. I had endured the complexities of high-stake litigation for so long, always pushing forward, never pausing to question the path I was on. The drive, the never-ending pursuit of winning, it had all become too much. And as I drove this all too familiar highway, the facade I had so meticulously maintained, the one telling the world I was in control, that I had it all together, was crumbling, bit by bit, mile by mile. The pressure tightened, choking me from the inside. I couldn't breathe. The weight of all those years, all those expectations, was finally too much to bear. I had to pull over. And there, in the silence of my SUV, the sobs came, visceral, loud, ugly. Later that day, in the solitude of my hotel room, I came to grips with a deep truth. Despite the appearance of having it all, the big house, the fancy cars, the gold Rolex, the country club membership, I was incredibly unhappy. I had silenced my own voice for so long, hiding behind a mask of competence and control. I'd lost touch with who I was and what truly mattered. I told myself I was doing it for my family, for our future, but the truth was harder to face. The year my son turned 2 and my daughter 5, I'd been away from home for 38 nights, 38 missed bedtimes, 38 mornings I wasn't there. By chasing a path I hadn't truly chosen, one quietly shaped by the expectations of others, I wasn't just abandoning myself, I was abandoning them too. At the time, I thought I was the problem, that I just wasn't cut out for this lawyer life, that maybe I lacked the stamina, the edge, the ability to thrive in such a world. But I did what I had always done. I pushed through and I kept going. Still, that day on the highway had cracked something open in me. I began to say it wasn't just me, it was everywhere. The pressure and the exhaustion. The burnout I had blamed on myself was actually baked into the traditional law firm model I'd spent my entire career inside. The system wasn't just failing me, It was suffocating everyone. Lawyers running on fumes, staff burned out or checked out, firms held together by sheer force of will. The hustle wasn't just encouraged, it was glorified. Burnout wasn't seen as a warning sign, it was applauded as commitment. And success was measured in late nights, ever growing case settlements, and how much you could carry before you collapsed. But if not this, then what? Eventually, I answered that question by doing the scariest thing I could imagine. I walked away. I left the traditional law firm I built my career inside to try something a little different, my own firm, created on my own terms, because I knew if I stayed in that system one day longer, it would hollow me out completely. And from that blank slate, I began building something different, something that I could actually support the people inside it. We need a plan B. Harrison's words cut through the heavy silence of the small conference room. Each syllable landed like a punch in the gut. I froze, my hands tightening around the edge of the conference table. What are you talking about? I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. But I knew. Of course, I knew. The truth had been gnawing at me for months, sinking its teeth in deeper with every unpaid invoice and every sleepless night. I just talked to the bookkeeper, Harrison exhaled, pinching the bridge of his nose. We don't have enough to cover next month's payroll. We can't keep this up, Simone. We're not going to make it. And there it was. A wave of nausea rolled through me as his words hung in the air. I wanted to argue, to tell him we'd figure it all out, but the truth hit hard. It was June of 2016, and our law firm had been in business for just over a year and a half. On the surface, we were doing everything right. We had clients, we were doing good work. But behind the scenes, our dream of success seemed to be fading away. No matter how hard we tried, the numbers just weren't adding up. In our first year, we had one major settlement that covered our overhead for about 6 months. Our office space, an ambitious effort at creating an open and collaborative environment, cost almost all of my savings for the build-out furniture and equipment. The rent alone was staggering. And on top of all that, each case we handled was costing upward of $50,000 in expert fees and deposition costs. We were drowning. A line of credit carried us through when fees weren't coming, but it was maxed out from paying overhead and salaries to 2 paralegals, 2 legal assistants, and 2 lawyers other than Harrison, my partner, and me. Neither of us had yet taken home a penny. This wasn't the dream, not even close. This wasn't the firm I'd imagined when I drained my savings to build it. It felt like I had built something beautiful, something I believed in, only to watch as it crumbled in my hands. Harrison hesitated, waiting for me to say something. When I didn't, he gave me one last look before walking out. He softly closed the door behind him. And just like that, the fragile threads holding me together began to unravel. Shame rose hot in my throat. This wasn't just a law firm. It was my reputation and my future. And these people, our team, left behind jobs and security to join me. They believed in me. They trusted me. But I didn't have a plan B. I don't believe in plan Bs. Still, I knew Harrison was right. Something had to change. And it was there in that empty room with nothing left but fear and just the faintest hint of stubborn hope that a voice inside me pushed through the doubt. You wanted to do things differently. You wanted to change the way lawyers think about and practice law. And that's all I needed. Because when there's no plan B, you damn well better make plan A work.
I love that. First of all, you're an excellent speaker,
Thank
and
you.
that just flew by. And
Good.
yeah, really kudos to you. Also, I remember when we talked about how you had multiple pain stories. and just how to make that. I think it works great. Did you skip something to get there?
No, I wanted everyone to hear the Texarkana story.
Yes, I love
So
that.
so I moved it for the reading, but it actually introduces pipeline. But I wanted it for tonight because it's my why, and my
Yeah.
why leads into our
So
family.
you're opening with the Harrison.
I open with Plan B. Yeah.
Yeah. So both of your pain stories, both they do the same thing. Both connect to the reader and both show your expertise and why you're qualified to write the book. They both do that. And just love, love, love.
Thank you.
Um, so I learned from you when you came to editing retreat, which was in October of 2024. I learned that attorneys are not taught how to run a business, but they're what they are taught is, and Gail's here. I'm glad Gail's here, who's an attorney.
Yes.
Um, that that everything goes through the owner, and that this is part of the problem. And it makes sense to me because you're the one that's running these cases and handling this stuff. So I get it, but I learned from you that this is actually a main source of the problem. Can you just explain why that's a bad idea for attorney?
Yeah, yeah. And my next excerpt kind of goes into that a little bit. But the reason why is lawyers run cases traditionally with the lawyer telling everybody else what to do. So that silos everything in the lawyer, and no, everyone else is constantly in reaction mode and they're waiting for something, which is fight or flight. I mean, they're constantly in fight or flight mode. And so there's so much burnout in everyone in the middle and at the bottom, and even the owner gets burned out because they're constantly, or the person who's running the case, they're constantly having to think of all the things that have to happen. But what happens, since we're not taught how to be business owners, when lawyers start their own law firms, that's how they run their business, where everything runs through them. Every idea, everything about running the business becomes at their beck and call. And again, you have people around you stuck in fight or flight mode. They don't have any autonomy, they don't have anything to help them just move ahead. Or lawyers on the other side of running their business, they hand it all over. The owner hands everything over to other people. And my argument is you can't build culture around something that isn't owned by the owner. People need to see that the owner believes and endorses everything that is happening. So that's kind of where lawyers typically are.
So, are you, is your next excerpt, does it talk about the five pillars?
Yes,
Okay, so
talks
I'm
about
gonna
how I found them.
okay, so I'm gonna skip that because I had a question around the five pillars,
Okay.
which is the framework everybody in the setup, and it's a framework that Simone came up with, but also tested. And what's happened. I want to get a sense because we heard the story about this breaking point, this turning point with Harrison. So now tell us what discovering these, how these five pillars could work together and then testing it in your own firm. Tell us about what happened in terms of growth and success.
What the result was.
Mm-hmm.
I talk a little bit about that again in this excerpt I'm about to read, but I have a self-managing law firm, and I spent the past 2 years, and Andrea, one of my team, is here. Hi, Andrea, thank you. Um, I spent 2 years writing the book. I mean, that's what I did all day long. I was here, but they knew I was here. And it's because the firm runs on its own. And then, just kudos to Andrea and the rest of the team. We've had the Q1 was our best year ever. If you understand what I mean. In Q1, we did better than we have in any other year. And so honestly, they're doing better without me in the middle of everything. So that's kind of proof, I think. So
Yes. On your when you look at the setup and you go research it though, you give us an exact percentage of how much your business grew before the book came
yes,
out.
it grew. At the time the book came out, it was 1,200% or 13
Wow.
times. At the end of last year, which it's not in there, it was 20 times. And so I don't know, Andrea could do the math if she knows the numbers off the top of her head, but between December of all of 25, and to know that Q1 has already exceeded that by a lot, a lot.
Amazing.
So, yeah, yeah.
Impressive. We do have a little question I want to hit before we move to the next excerpt. Is from David. And well, it's not really a question, but it's a little wish. He wants you to explain what self-managing means to you.
Oh, that's a great question. Self-managing means that everyone in the firm, business, they all play a part. And because they each play a part and are accountable for their part, it runs like a machine. It runs automatically. The pillars I'm about to introduce, the pipeline is the structure that runs every case. Process is the how to get stuff there. Product is our service. It's the actual client experience and how I could take years of being a bad faith lawyer and take that intellectual property and put it in a structure that then my fabulous, magnificent lawyers can run with it. And that's where the magic happens. So Simone isn't in the middle of all of it at all. The structure has created the self-managing firm.
Nice.
That answered your question, David.
He's giving you a thumbs up. I want to remind everybody that we'd love for you to pick up a copy of the setup if it fits your budget. I also want to say something, since you're all here, that I do not want you to leave until the top of the hour. And that's because of the last 10 minutes, we're going to do a nice thing for Simone that will cost you nothing except a few minutes of your time. So please stick around. All right, Simone, next excerpt.
Okay. This is from the first chapter, but it's a section called Figuring It Out. And what I'm going to be showing you here are basically where my readers are. And some of it's my story. I don't have an MBA. Back before I decided to go to law school, my college roommate, Leanne, suggested I go in that direction because she had and was making nearly 4 times what I was as a music teacher. Tempting, of course. Who doesn't want to make more money? But business, boring. Yet 25 years later, when I first started as a business owner, each day felt like I was hanging on by my fingernails and my toenails and whatever else I could muster. There I was, tossing and turning at night, fretting about money, worrying if we'd have enough to cover both next month's utility bill and the invoice for a vital expert, or whether we'd get paid on a recent settlement before the rent came due. During the day, my mind would race with all the shouldn't we's. Shouldn't we have more cases lined up? Shouldn't we be doing more to market? Shouldn't we be trying that new trial software? Shouldn't we? Shouldn't we? Shouldn't we? And just when I'd finally get my mind calmed down from all that second guessing, the copier would break down, or I'd be pulled into a spat between team members, or someone would come to me with a problem on a case. Every time I turned around, there was something new demanding my attention. Of course, all the while, I was trying to practice law according to the high standards I'd always set for myself. I kept convincing myself, or should I say lying, that only I could deliver on the promises made to our clients and referring lawyers. After all, I was the one with the most experience, the one with the reputation. If I wasn't personally involved in every case, something would inevitably go wrong. Should I have taken Leanne's advice? But then one glorious day, an angel in the form of my friend Rick Hadrava threw me a lifeline. He invited me to join his mastermind group. I almost said no. I mean, could I really take half a day out of the office? What if something went wrong while I was gone? They need me. Thankfully, Rick convinced me, and those few hours every month turned out to be exactly what I needed. The mastermind meetings gave me a space where I could step back, breathe, and gain a little perspective. And no, this wasn't one of those things where a bunch of lawyers swap war stories. Instead, it was a CPA, an insurance agent, a couple of old home renovators. Each brought unique insights I would never have encountered if I'd stayed stuck in the same old law firm bubble. One of the first things they taught me was the impact of carving out dedicated time for firm business. The idea was simple. If I spent just 10% of my work week focused solely on the business, I'd gain clarity. So, despite my initial reluctance to spend time away from handling cases or triaging the latest crisis, I decided to try it. Every Friday morning, I locked myself away to brainstorm and think about the firm. I scrutinized our numbers and strategized new ways to bring in business. I dreamed up ways to motivate the team. I poured through more business books and magazine articles than I can count. Then Monday morning, I'd return to the office ready to try something new with the rest of the team. Some things worked, some didn't. But within about 6 months of this focused approach, I began to see improvement, not just in my sanity, but in the whole operation. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't like there were these immediate, big, whopping changes. Progress came in inches, with little improvements, one after another. And over time, a pattern started to emerge. Nearly everything we were doing to run the firm fell within one of 5 areas: people, pipeline, process, product, and profitability, what we started calling pillars. I found the more we focused on these pillars, the easier it became to manage that everything, everywhere, all at once feeling of running the firm. For the first time, things were moving forward almost automatically without me constantly pushing. I wasn't chasing every loose end or looking over everyone's shoulder. I finally had the confidence and the bandwidth to step back and actually lead. And with that new capacity, I was able to reflect on our early struggles. What had held us back during those first few years? It wasn't the skill of our lawyers or the experience of our team. Both were solid. It wasn't a lack of clients or courtroom success. We had that too. What had really been holding us back was the system we were following, the traditional law firm model. What do I mean by that? I mean the structure passed down from the Middle Ages, born out of the old guild system, where knowledge, control, and authority sit with the master, and everyone else just follows orders. Today, that role falls to the senior lawyer or firm owner. Information flows top down. Work gets assigned based on rank, not skill. Most of the team doesn't see the big picture. They're left out of it entirely. And the truth is, most of us build our firms by copying what we've seen. That top-heavy reactive model is what we think law firms are supposed to look like. It's no one's fault. We're taught to follow precedent after all, so that's what we do. The problem is that system wasn't built to run a modern law firm, and it sure wasn't built to last. But once we started building the firm around the 5 pillars, working them, testing them, refining them, things changed. The team knew exactly what to do and who owned it. The cases and the business ran more smoothly. We had a handle on our money. We enjoyed more of what we were doing. We had more time to actually live. And it all came down to one thing: a simple system based on 5 powerful pillars. Now, if the traditional hierarchical way of running a firm is one of the biggest things holding law firms back, and it is, here's the other: chasing tactics. Take Alice, a criminal defense lawyer in Arizona who was part of a mastermind I co-led. One day, Alice joined our Zoom meeting full of excitement. They were setting up a Slack account for her small firm. "It's exactly what I've been wanting," she gushed. "Since I'm out of the office a lot, going to court and taking depositions, Slack will make my life so much easier. I can keep up with all the firm talk in a single app, and everyone can ask questions and share case updates. The app even categorizes our conversations by clients." Sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? We cheered her on. Then a couple of months later, Alice returned, but this time without her usual contagious energy. "What's up, Alice? You seem down," someone asked. "You're right," she sighed. She'd recently suffered a trial loss that resulted in prison time for her client. Trying to lift her spirits, someone asked how Slack was working. Yeah, that didn't work out. Most everybody kept texting or emailing because Slack was just another thing to check. And it was impossible to keep up with all the messages, so most of us just dropped it. Alas, the fate of the best laid plans. As a law firm owner or leader, you can easily fall into the quick fix trap, just like Alex. A challenge pops up and you react. Or you get excited about some cool new tool, try it out, and it just doesn't land with your team. I'm going to skip a little bit. Ring true? Yeah, me too. And here's what I've learned. Those ideas that didn't take off, tactics. The efforts that fell short, tactics. And yes, you guessed it, Alice's attempt to adopt Slack was yet another tactic. Now, make no mistake, tactics matter. They help keep our firms thriving, but on their own, they're often just a short-term fix. And as I've learned to say, you can't apply a short-term fix to a long-term problem. What actually makes the difference, the thing that gives your efforts lasting impact, is a strong foundation. You can think of it like building or remodeling a house. Tactics are like the latest high-tech appliances you've been eyeing or the beautiful paint colors you choose for the walls. They make the house functional and attractive. But without a strong foundation, those appliances won't matter a bit because a house itself won't stand. You might not see it immediately, but over time, a crumbling foundation is not going to get any better. Sooner or later, you'll find yourself spending more money, not only to fix that foundation, but also to replace that fancy facade. And yeah, I keep going. And basically, then I say the core message, which focus on the foundation. Everything else will follow.
Love, love, so good. So I gotta ask you, let's do an authory question now, because you've done such a good job. Your excerpts were so spot on that we all know the book now. We know what you're trying to do. It's very, very clear. So you didn't come to editing retreat first, though. You came to an editing class that's part of Top Three Authors membership, and then you had a realization. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Uh, yeah. Um, the editing workshop was very painful. And I will say it was painful because I came to the workshop with a book that was done. I had written everything in about 4 months. And the last excerpt I read, I'm going to talk a little bit about this. But what that editing workshop made me do is step back. I mean, I didn't have any fundamentals. I mean, it was what was missing. I knew this 4 month process had given me a 85,000 word manuscript, but it was shit. And I think that what was so painful about the editing workshop was I had to go relearn how to write. I had to relearn, you have 30 years of writing legal briefs. I'm a lawyer's lawyer. That means I write briefs. I write legal arguments for judges. And now I had to think about a reader and I had to think about how would I talk to them? Not in words that are lawyer words, but in words that really will resonate with the human being behind that lawyer. And so the editing workshop, how long was that? 6 weeks, I think so.
Yep.
And two of my folks are here too. Mara and Nikki are both here. Um, but it was painful because I had to relearn. And anytime you learn something new, you're going to fight. You're going to change is painful. And I basically rewrote the book after that because I had a guide. And AJ, I don't know if you remember this. I didn't outline my book.
I do. I
Yeah,
do.
I outlined it after the editing workshop.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah. And
So,
then you came to retreat, and I
yes.
feel like that was a breakthrough for you.
Oh,
But what I
it-
think it,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, 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 you go ahead.
What I think is so to me, you're just so tough. And I don't mean that in a tough girl kind of way. I mean it more like, okay, just like a deep sigh. All right, I'm basically tearing this thing down and building it back up again, this book. And you just said, okay, I'm gonna do that. And I remember that at editing retreat, how you, yeah, anyway, I just kudos to you for that. But can you share just a little bit about that turning point for you when you started to feel like the book was coming together in a way that you wanted it to be?
Um, Couple of things. One was getting feedback. And I am, I need feedback, and knowing that I need feedback and just having AJ look at it, finally, someone other than Mark, thank you, was listening to it and was reading it, hearing it. That meant a lot to me, and it gave me confidence. The second was, I made lifelong friends there. And yeah, hi, Ian. I see you. Just the giving yourself permission is, I think, what that did for me, because I saw other people also not necessarily struggling. It was a struggle for me, but maybe struggling is the right word, because they all were coming from their heart, that they wanted to write something that would not only help people, but write it in such a way that they'd want to keep reading it. And that's what you brought to me, AJ, was this desire for not just my words to be out there, but for them to mean something to somebody. And I think my breakthrough actually, hi, Sarah. I have a friend who just joined us. Hi, honey. And my mother's here too. I don't want to avoid saying hi to mom.
Mom's here. Where's mom? Which one is
You just saw
mom?
her hand. Pam,
Hi, Pam.
wave, Pam. They can't hear you, so just wave. Yeah. Can you
Hi,
see her?
Pam.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
love moms.
Yeah.
Yes. Happy
Yeah.
you're here, mom. Okay, go ahead, Simone.
Anyway, I think my biggest breakthrough there was at the retreat. And by this point, I'm really close to done, and I don't realize it until AJ says, Simone, you need to be submitting this to publishers. I hadn't done that. I didn't know. I didn't know I was that close. But I think it was realizing the change I wanted to see in the world, and how what I had really structured was something that I have a lot of thoughts. I had to go back and redo the reader's journey. I did that during editing retreat to really make sure that every chapter is related to the reader fundamentals, that everything constantly was bringing one back to that. So, as AJ said, I want world domination with my book. What I really want is to change the way law firms are run. And because there is a way that they can be run with more heart and more soul, and more giving the people who do the work the credit and the joy of doing the work, and not hate coming to work because it runs like a chaotic machine, or not even machine, chaotic, morass. So, yeah.
So you already answered the question I asked at the end, which is what's the change you want to see in the world? So now
Sorry.
that's okay. You've all heard it. That's fine. You said it was beautifully, it was the right moment to share it. And
Yeah.
just for the record, I didn't say I want world domination. I said
No.
Simone wants
Yeah.
world domination.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean that in the best way. Just she has a plan. This is just part of the plan that we're all seeing today.
Yeah.
So I want you to give you a chance. I know it's important to you to share this last excerpt. Is it a long one?
A little bit.
Okay.
It's chapter 17.
So I'm just
How
gonna,
much time do I have?
we might run a tiny bit over, because we've been chatting, just we're excited. That's just sometimes that happens.
Well,
Um,
it's my love note to AJ and Sade and Laura and Mike McAllowitz and my team, and it's short. It
we,
is short
we
for
want you to have a chance to read it. I'm
Mhm.
just wanted to say out loud that I would love everybody could stay because we want to do something nice for Simone. So let's hopefully you can all stay. Go ahead, Simone, why don't you read that last bit?
Okay. This is my call to greatness. The next chapter is yours. Dreams don't have deadlines. LL Cool J. Over 10 years ago, when I started my firm, I dreamed of building something that mattered, something successful, meaningful, and uniquely ours. But there was no guidebook, no roadmap with clear directions saying, here's how to do it, here's what works, and here's what doesn't. It was incredibly frustrating. I knew I had the freedom to create whatever I wanted. No one was standing in my way. But freedom without direction is overwhelming. And as I've shared, I spent years figuring it out through trial and error. Some things worked beautifully, others not really. It was a journey full of missteps and small wins that slowly added up. But it doesn't have to be that way for you. That's why I wrote this book, for you. So you don't have to go through the same painful process I did, struggling to find your way through it all. I mean this book to be the guide I wish I'd had, built from everything I learned the hard way. Of course, just like when I started the firm, when I decided to start writing, I thought, how hard can it be? I've been preparing legal briefs for 3 decades after all. So I dove in, pouring out what I thought was everything about the setup in just a few months. But something was missing. I could feel it. Even as I typed the final sentences, I had words on paper, but they were just words. It didn't feel quite right. As it turns out, writing a book to help others is a completely different animal from writing briefs for judges. Completely. The truth is that first draft was rough, extremely, painfully rough. Author Anne Lamott would call it a shitty first draft. Indeed. It read more like a textbook, a dry, lifeless guide I'm pretty sure even I wouldn't want to read. And I should have said even my mother wouldn't want to read. I knew in my gut something was missing, but I didn't know how to fix it. That's when I got my first nudge, an email from the guy who had saved us with his book, Profit First. But I'll be honest, sorry, Mr. McAllowitz. I don't always read his emails, but this one grabbed me. The subject line, don't write that book. Was the universe trying to tell me something? You know me by now, I'm stubborn. So I ignored it. A couple of weeks later, the second nudge came in the form of the same email from McAllowitz. Don't write that book. Ugh, but I need to write that book. This time, my better angels took hold, and I caved. I opened it. Inside, he described a podcast he was doing with his writing partner, AJ Harper, about writing books meant to help others. That's what I was trying to do. Intrigued, I gave it a listen, and wow, they were speaking directly to me. I binged that podcast like a Netflix series. Then I ordered Harper's book, Write a Must Read, and poured over it, highlighting and writing notes in the margins, just like I did in law school. Everything she said made sense. My first draft wasn't enough. Not if I truly wanted to help you. But knowing I needed to fix the book and actually doing it were two different things. I had to unlearn 30 years of legal writing habits and completely shift how I approached this project. It was hard, but that's where the gift of AJ Harper and her team, Laura and Charday, saved me. Over the next several months, I devoured what they had to teach me in an editing workshop and daily writing sprints. I was even fortunate enough to attend Harper's writing retreat on Madeline Island in Wisconsin, a magical place where I met 5 other authors also on a journey of writing books meant to help others. We worked, we laughed, we cried, and we rewrote. It was life-changing, book-changing. More than anything else, it opened my eyes to what this book could be for you, a resource that truly serves you, the reader. It wasn't about me anymore at all. It was about helping you transform your firm. In many ways, this mirrors the journey you've been on throughout this book. Perhaps when you started, you were filled with chaos, frustration, even a little self-doubt. You worked through the setup, pillar by pillar, learning what works and what doesn't. My hope for you is that you now have clarity. You're seeing your firm in a whole new way. You're empowered to take control of your firm, knowing exactly how to make it work. You can now make better decisions and build something truly extraordinary. Sure, your firm might have felt like your own shitty first draft at the start. No offense, but that's just where transformation begins. Look at what you've built so far with your setup. It's refined, intentional, and aligned with your vision. And then I go on, but I gave my love letter to my friends. So thank you.
Oh, you make me cry.
Yeah. Well, go read the acknowledgement. I can't even read the acknowledgement without crying. So
Oh man.
yeah.
Well, we live for this, and this isn't just a milestone for you right now, Simone. It's a milestone for me and Laura and Sade as well when we see, and I think your book might be one of the first ones that Sade has seen go from, you know,
Yeah.
beginning, like when you were working on it and now to this. It's just pretty special. We live for this stuff. That's why we do what we do. So, you already answered. What's the change you want to see in the world through the book? And I expect world domination. I expect you to actually make a big show of it and see that change in the world. And honored to be part of that process, Simone.
Thank
Everybody, Simone wrote a really, really good book. I hope you get a copy. I hope you tell friends about it. If you have an attorney friend, I hope you say, hey, it doesn't have to be so hard. Here's a book for you. And it's a really, really good book.
you.
Oh, and look what Sarah's holding up. Oh, I forgot to mention. Look, Sarah, hold up the workbook, the blue. Thank you. Y'all, there's a workbook. I forgot to mention that earlier. Simone didn't just publish a book, she published the workbook at the same time, and amazing. So you can also pick that up.
Can I just say, AJ,
Yeah,
I outlined the workbook
bless you.
and it went really, really fast.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love it. Skills you'll have forever as
Yes.
you continue to write wonderful things for us. So we did it on time. Simone, this is just the beginning. And I also really want you to see how much love you have here in the T3 community. And I hope that I know you've been busy and the launch is always hard. And I just want you to know this is always your home
I
as an
feel that.
author. So come back, stick around. We'll help you get more books sold, more reviews, all those things. But just know this is your home forever.
I believe that. I
Yeah.
feel that. Thank you.
All right,
That's
everybody.
probably the biggest change in
Really?
my life. One of the questions that you told me you were going to ask is has the writing process changed me?
Yeah, we
And
didn't have time for it, but answer it
yeah,
now. Do it.
I'll just do it. To, it has changed me because I've met a community of people I'm absolutely in love with who make me a better person. And so I love it. I come into the writing sprint, just sit there. I mean, everyone else is doing the work and I'm like, I'm not writing anything. I just want to see my people. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh gosh, we're so proud of that. And I've got to shout out Sade and Laura because that they help make that. They're so integral in that community
yeah.
building. Yeah. All right, listen. Oh, gotta say thanks to Faith. Faith, thank you so much. You're gonna dictate it after the Zoom. We appreciate you so much. Okay, everybody, we would love to see you at the next one, which is, I'm afraid I slipped my perimenopausal brain on the day that our next
May 4th.
May 4th, Marcia Dawood, Unapologetic Wealth. This is written for women, but please, dudes, come anyway. It's a great book. We hope you'll join us. Simone, thank you so much and
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, have a good night. Thanks for showing up for Simone. Bye, everyone.